All right, so I am currently recording now. And again, you all are in the Access Center Discipline Policy Overview. This is a really, really quick overview. I'm going to try to get you guys out of here by 2 o'clock, 2:15, so that the folks that are moving over to the classroom management workshop can get in as quickly as possible. My name is Naomi Robertson Reed. I'm the citywide OST training manager for the Office of Children and Families, out of school time division, former Philadelphia Parks and Rec employee. So I'm very excited and happy to see some of my PPR friends in here. And just a little kind of overview of my role now with training. So, you know, we're rocking and rolling with all of the Access Center trainings, but in the future, we are going to be releasing all of our trainings to PPR staff. So any training that we put on, you're more than welcome to attend. So just wanted to put that out there. The more the merrier for us. So that was my little spiel about training. So what are we going to do today? So we're going to do introductions and housekeeping today, Access Center purpose, the discipline policy. Please let me know in the chat box whether you've seen the discipline policy or not. Really, all of this is verbatim out of the policy document, but I am going to also share a link with you all. It's a Google link, a Google Drive that we've created that has the policy in there as well as some other information. So just let me know if you've seen the policy in the chat box. So Brett said yes. Kenneth said yes. Oh no, Becca, you can't see the slideshow. Okay. Are you okay, you see your files. Is it like that for everybody else? Can you see my files but not? Okay. All right, I'm gonna see if I'm gonna stop sharing and then share again. All right, we already did that. Okay, so ways to engage today. Please stay muted unless directly prompted to unmute yourself. If you have questions, please submit them in the chat box, and the same for resources. If you have resources, please submit them in the chat box. So of course, we all know the need. This is all because of COVID. So during 2021, most children will be learning digitally to reduce the risk of COVID. For many children, this will mean learning at home or at a child care center. So the challenge that we all kind of realize is that some families do not have those options because they work out of the home and can't afford or access child care support. So the response was that the city, OCF, PPR, PHA, Alphabet Soup, all of our partners got together and realized that this was a need that we needed to figure out and fill with regards to digital learning. So we all got together and created 77 access centers across the city. So what do we provide at access centers? We supervise students during digital learning time. We provide meals. And during those times where students are either on a break or on those Friday half days, we're doing our OST thing and running activities and programming. So access centers are designed to serve our most vulnerable children. They are available by registration only. So we understand that access centers are not drop-in sites. They are free of charge. They're open to Philadelphia students K through 6, and they're located throughout the city. So the first set of access centers opened up Tuesday, September 8th. The rest of them opened up on the 21st. We are kind of accepting enrollment on a rolling basis. So some people may have started out with 8, but now they have a couple of more. So we're still, getting enrollment as the fall goes by. So locations, again, access centers are located in rec centers, libraries, Philadelphia Housing Authority sites, and community-based organizations. So we do have some organizations like Zhang Sha, and like Sunrise, who are running out of community-based organizations. And then health and safety, we all have gone through either the standard operating procedures workshop or some of the reopening guidelines workshops that we did over the summertime. So we all know we're trying to follow the health and safety guidelines as much as possible all the time, not even as much as possible. We need to be following these guidelines. So at this point, most sites and cohorts are serving around 22 students. So with regards to discipline and your responsibility, so we realized very quickly that access centers, because we're with the students all day and it's just a different situation than OST, right? Like we're basically housing them while they're going through the school day. So it's just way different than our out of school time world, much, much different. So we realized that the discipline policies and some of the things that we've put in place individually as either city assets like PPR and the Housing Authority, or like community-based organizations like Zane Shah, like Sunrise, probably weren't going to apply to the access center. So we wanted to kind of set up a standard for everybody so that we all were on the same page. So access centers, we're using positive behavior modification and positive behavior reinforcement in our access centers. We're communicating with children in a calm, quiet manner using positive statements. We are explaining unacceptable behavior to children in an age-appropriate way. We know that we have students of all grades. We're itty-bitties to almost middle school. So the way that we talk to them and the way that we speak to them will be different based on their age and their ability to kind of comprehend and take in that information. We're reinforcing positive behavior and we're reasoning with and setting limits for children. So really quickly, how have some of you been able to reinforce positive behavior? And you can either unmute yourselves and talk about that, or you can put it in the chat box. So what are some of the ways that you all are reinforcing positive behavior?
Hello. Yeah, I had one child that just happened to be special needs, and I didn't realize it right off the bat. And what I did was I got these little Play-Doh, just two little Play-Doh, like 50 cents, and I just gave it to the head lady. I said, look, this is for him. If he does his work today and he doesn't give a hard time or anything, could you just make sure that he gets it at some point? And she's like, yeah, so I gave out stress balls because kids were getting all fidgety. We have one, he's 5 years old, he's kindergarten. So things like that nature, I think it's hard for them really to sit all that time. So I thought, why not? I got a good deal, and I got a bunch of stress balls. And of course, always ask the permission first, because you never know. Sometimes they might feel like, oh gosh, well, I guess she's trying to run the place or something. So you have to kind of be a little bit aware. So that's different for a lot of us leaders, I feel, because we're used to having our own centers. We're used to running stuff, so anyway, she was delighted. She was really happy about it. So, that's just a positive, reinforcement. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alberta. And you brought up a good point. We are in an interesting situation right now where we have OST partners and PPR sites and partners together. So I just want to send a special shout out to those folks who are sharing space, and thank you all for just, sharing the space and figuring it out together. So thank you all for that, because it's an interesting space that we're in now. So Becca said that they're doing top effort tickets. So that sounds really cool. John said that they're doing lots of verbal praise. Sal from Zhang Sha said verbal praise, positive incentives given at regular intervals. Kenneth said snacks and game time activities. George made a good point that said that we're reminding children that even though it doesn't seem like school, that it is, and that education is important. The thing that gets their attention is that they remind them that we remind them that they are being graded. So that's a really good point, because for a lot of you, right, like you've seen these kids in the OST world after school, but you haven't seen them during the day. So the stakes are a little higher for them because, like you said, George, they're being graded now. So that's a really interesting point, and just honing that in for the kids. Like, yeah, you're used to coming to Bear, you're used to coming to Vox, you're used to coming to these centers for after school where you can run, get your wiggles out, do some cool STEM activities, do a cool read aloud. But like now, even though the space looks the same, and it is the same, the reason why you're here is not the same. And that's really important. Aaron said stickers. Will said actually engaging in activities and setting boundaries. Yes, instead of just supervising the activity. Did any of you create behavior agreements before the Access Center started, where you had students sign something, or like a rules of engagement type of situation? And again, you can put that in the chat box, or just unmute yourself. All right. Okay, so yeah, just like someone said, reason with and set limits and boundaries for the children. Continuing on, apply rules consistently while acknowledging children's diverse abilities and needs. And I think Alberta also spoke to that a little bit, about kind of knowing your individual kids and figuring out what works for those kids. That is a tall task to try to figure out. But if you have kids that you've worked with in the past, maybe you already know, how they get down, and you're able to work with them. Model appropriate behavior. So we are, we're the models of the room. We're the ones who kind of set the stage. So we are the ones that have to model that behavior. And I mean, even I have a 2-year-old, so I find that difficult as well. So there's lots of trying to model the behavior so that they mimic the behavior. Giving children opportunities to make choices and solve problems. So even if a child is on a break or something like that, kind of giving them some choice within boundaries about what activity they want to do is really important. Help children talk out problems and think of solutions. This is very, very important, and we'll come back to this as we talk about like your role in the digital learning day, but particularly when they're in a Zoom call or whatever platform teachers are using, because we are not instructors, we are supervising the instruction. It's really, really important for us to empower the students to ask the questions to the teacher. So figuring out and helping them talk through those problems and think about the solutions, and then talk to their teacher, is kind of why we're there. So we're providing the guidance, but we're not necessarily being the instructor. Lisa said that they did a self-respect board with children, and which the children shared affirmations. That is amazing, amazing. Aisha said that they acknowledge good behavior to the parents. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. And we're going to talk a little bit about parent engagement. This is the time, especially if you are seeing the same kids that you saw in your OSC programs, this is really the time to start to get that caregiver engagement going. Again, because we are not instructors, we are not teachers, it is really, really important for the caregivers to understand that they need to be communicating with the teachers and with their students' support staff, principals, all those folks. The school district is open, they are working. So it doesn't always need to be the teacher. If a parent or a caregiver needs to go up the ladder and talk to a principal or talk to their student support staff, all those folks are working. They are open and available for you. So definitely talking with your parents and your caregivers and empowering them to communicate with those support staff is very important. And listen to children and respect the children's needs, desires, and feelings. Access centers will not, and I feel like I don't need to go through this because we've all worked with students, but we're, no corporal punishment in any manner. We have defined corporal punishment. Physical force to the body includes but not limited to spanking, hitting, shaking, biting, pinching, pushing, pulling, or slapping. Use any strategy that hurts, shames, or threatens a child, and that is both physically and emotionally, mentally, all of that stuff. Use food or physical activity as a form of punishment. Place children in a locked and or dark room. Leave any children alone, unattended, or without supervision. Allow discipline of a child by other children, or embarrass, any child in front of others, or allow harassment or bullying from adults and children. And again, this is all highlighted in the discipline policy document as well. So the meat and potatoes. So what happens if you do have a disciplinary problem? I've been saying document, document, document. You need to document everything. You need to talk to the parents at least 3 times before thinking about removing a child, and even document that. So the first piece is that the site will notify parent guardian during pickup, or call the parent or guardian to notify them of the challenge. So hopefully, because of COVID, you're having your caregivers stay with the student as the student is doing check-in, because what we don't want is, mainly what we don't want is that a student's temperature is above 100.4, or they haven't brought the supplies that they need, and the parent or caregiver has left already. So it's like, well, what do we do? How do we get the kid back to the caregiver in a timely fashion? So take that time and check in to talk to the parents about any behavioral issues you're having. So that's the first point. Even if this is just a verbal situation, document it. Write it down that you talk to the parent about the disciplinary issue, so that they and your district manager, your facility supervisor, everybody is being made aware of it. The second point is, if the discipline problem continues, the caregiver, you and the caregiver will have a conference to be scheduled, and you'll develop a plan that will include the change in behavior needed and the steps that the child, family, and site will do to support the behavior change. And we can, if you already don't have some type of plan like that, we can develop something like that for you, and I'll put that in the Google Drive for you. So that's the second step. And again, document it. Lisa said we had an incident where the kid lied about having their Chromebook. So they did not have their Chromebook once they got into, Wow, okay. Can you unmute yourself and,
Yeah, they didn't have the Chromebook.
Okay.
The Chromebook was damaged. It was they were having trouble with their sound issues. So we contacted the parent and let them know that you need to take this the Chromebook to have it switched out. And I actually called the contact number for the school district. They gave me two sources where the Chromebook could be taken. One was in South Philly, one was in Germantown. And I gave this information to the parent, and the parent called the school district, and the parent came back to the door with their phone saying, "Hey, can you talk to let them know what's going on?" And so I explained to them what was going on, and I gave the parent the address. I texted the parent the addresses, everything the school district people told me about which entrance to take and everything. And so I expected the kid to have their Chromebook and, or not come that day because they didn't have the Chromebook and their parents weren't trying to resolve the issue. So the kid came and he said that they had their Chromebook. So I was like, okay, well, maybe they resolved the issue. And when we asked them for the Chromebook, the parent had left by that point, and no, I don't have it. So, I copied, I took a picture of the discipline policy and highlighted what you agreed to and what the situation is, and spoke to the parent. But yeah, children do share stories.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that's a very interesting kind of case study in just what's going on. Again, of course, in the standard operating procedures document, it says that if a child doesn't have their Chromebook, then they can't participate in the Access Center. And we also had a situation in our earlier training where someone said that the student had the Chromebook, but they didn't have the charger. they had lost the charger or something like that, and they kept coming with an uncharged Chromebook. So again, you know, check-in is really, really important. I mean, and you don't, of course, you don't want to like be looking in bags and making sure people have their Chromebooks, but it's important to know that. And I think if you have repeated incidences of somebody not bringing their Chromebook, please, you know, Lisa, anybody, please document that. So just know that, you know, you need to document that as well. Because I would look at that as a behavioral issue or something that is hindering the day-to-day operation of the Access Center. So thank you, Lisa. So the second step is we're going to have a conference. We're going to develop a plan. The third and final, like, nuclear option, of course, if the parent or guardian or a child is unable to follow the rules after 2 conferences, the site director will put in writing that the student will not be able to return to the site for either a specific amount of time or permanently, depending on the issue. The family will be informed of the reason that the child cannot return to the site. So I know one of the beginning issues that we had is that caregivers, because it is a school situation, caregivers were saying that, like, we can't deny access to their children. That's necessarily true. We can give them resources to get internet through Philly Connected. We can give them all of that information so that they can be learning at home. But we cannot, just like a school would do with a disciplinary action, if, you know, having discipline problems, kids get suspended all the time. So it's the same, it's the same that goes in an access center. So any questions about the discipline problem or the kind of the plan for that and the 3 steps that you all will take? So continuing on, the supervisor on duty must approve the removal of a child from the facility. And this goes back to the partnership with the OST provider and the facility supervisor, just making sure that you all are in constant communication about the kids and about whether you're having discipline problems or not. You never want it to come as a surprise to the facility supervisor or the OST staff that, like, a child is about to be removed and they didn't know about it. So just keeping in that constant communication with each other is really, really important. Any removal from a facility lasting longer than 1 day will be reviewed by the site director for the Access Center at issue. The Office of Children and Families Leadership or their designee will review any removal lasting longer than 1 week. So for our OST providers, it's really, really important for you to loop in your program liaisons with this. So if you are finding that you're having discipline issues and you need to remove somebody for longer than a week, please bring that up to your program liaison so that we are made aware of it. In reviewing whether to remove a child from the Access Center and in determining how long any such removal shall last, staff and officials will consider the safety of the staff and children, as well as the circumstances surrounding the removal, including reasonable accommodations for disabilities. So we know now that, and we knew before, that we were going to have children with differing needs in our access centers. And because of the laws and all of that regarding how much the school district can share with other people that are not parents and guardians, a lot of the information, like, we know that kids have IEPs. We may not know what's in the IEP. We know that, you know, just from, like, being with and interacting with a child, we know we may feel and have an instinct that the child has some type of different ability, but we can't diagnose. So just making those accommodations for some of those different abilities is extremely important, and taking these cases on a case-by-case situation is important as well.
Naomi,
Yes.
it Gina Badovic, how are you?
Good, how are you doing? I'm sorry, say your name again.
Gina Badovic.
Hey, Gina.
If they do have, like, how are we supposed to make accommodations without seeing them and to know, like, what works best for them during certain, you know, periods of time, or what works best for behavioral modification? Like, if we don't ever get to see the IEPs, how are we
Right.
supposed to make those accommodations?
So that's another caregiver engagement piece. So so talking with their caregiver around the IEP is extremely important, and any ideas they may have around behavior modification. So that's where, you know, the caregiver and Access Center staff really need to come together and talk about that. And even if it's a situation where you have to either during check-in or on an individual basis, you know, schedule either like a Zoom conference or a face-to-face situation, it's important to talk to the caregivers about that.
Hey, Naomi.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Miss Nat from East Patchogue.
Hey,
How you
Miss Nat.
doing? I was just out of curiosity wondering if the OST staff was going to have this exact training as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so some of them are on the line now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So your responsibility with digital learning, and I know that this has come up a lot as well. So if a child is removed by the teacher from digital learning due to behavior issues, so if they are kicked out of the room for any reason, you should notify the parent or guardian and expect the parent or guardian to connect with the teacher directly to address the behavior. So again, we are not instructors as much as the teachers, because they see us in front of the screen, they think that we can handle the problem. We can't handle the problem. You need to talk to the parent, to the caregiver. The teacher should also reach out to the parent or caregiver to talk about those behavior issues. We are not the parents, we're not the caregivers, so they need to talk to them about those behavioral issues. We need to lean in on the school district to really make those decisions as well. So if it's happening and a child does get removed during that time and you can't get in contact with the parent or guardian like right at that moment, that's where the brain breaks and all of those activities will come into play until you can get to the parent or guardian. I would also say that if it becomes an ongoing issue, then it may need to take a caregiver conference to talk it through. So we zoomed through this. A little confused, can't ask them. So Lisa, we can't talk to the school district about the IEP, but we can talk through some of those suggestions with the caregivers. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah. So like I said, the school district is not going to give out that information, but you can certainly talk to the parents one-on-one and talk to them about that. So we talked about some of the positive behavior reinforcements that we do, but what have been some of the positive behavior modifications? So if you see something going on that's like not up to snuff, how do you redirect that that behavior? So you can either put that in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and share. Really quickly, legacy, was each site supposed to have a Chromebook for staff to learn how to do basic tech support? I don't think so. However, the school district does have a digital learning workshop that we recorded. And I'm sorry, not recorded, but we have the PowerPoint presentation from that. So once I sent you, the Google Drive, you'll be able to access that. So Zainab asked, why are PPR staff blocked from access to CitySpan and access of participants' information? I'm not sure about that. I would have to ask the CitySpan folks. So Lisa said video game, in terms of behavior modification. Lisa from Finnegan said video games, movie day Fridays. Any other ways that we're redirecting negative behavior in a positive way? Basic communication and positive words go a long way. Change in scenery, allowing outside time breaks. We are dealing with kindergartners and first graders who have to be on a screen all day. So just getting them out and getting them up and maybe active a little bit will help with some of that. So just giving them a break is really, really important. I can't even imagine like a kindergartner trying to sit for 6 hours. I can barely imagine a fourth grader trying to sit for 6 hours, but surely not K through second. I am in awe of all of you because it just seems like a lot. Someone said you can, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but Shirel said you can ignore the behavior. You can address the whole group and not the individual child. You can say something positive to the child. So addressing the whole group and like the group behavior is really, really important. J.A. Reynolds from Legacy said fun exercise during bathroom breaks. Yes, so making bathroom breaks fun, exercise in gym or related activities or related area. Praise them with positive comments all day. We play freeze dance at the end of the day. Lisa agreed. She was like, yes, they are falling asleep on class. Look, this is my fourth workshop, so I'm about to fall asleep. Jamil asked, what should we do if a student is signed in the class but fails to participate in any assignment or do any work assignments virtually or worksheets? Should we allow them to participate in breaks or fun activities if they're not completing work? I would say that that's something that as a cohort staff, you need to think about whether you should allow them to participate in those brain breaks. Like on one end, you do want to do some behavior modifications, but then you also don't want to exclude them because more than likely the reason why they're not doing their assignments or doing any work assignments is because they're burnt out and worn out and they need a brain break. So that's something that as staff, you need to kind of figure out. I definitely would say that if it's an ongoing issue where they're not participating in an assignment or not doing any of the work assignments, you need to take it to the caregiver and make sure that they know. One note about the daily assignments and all of that, I stress again that we are not instructors, we are not teachers. We've all been in the OST world before, whether it's through PPR and the after school programs or just being open and having homework help, or if you are OCF funded, again, homework help. We've been having the same conversation with caregivers for the past 15 years around, we are not, we may not complete homework. It just may not happen. We have a designated time for homework, 30 minutes an hour. And if your child doesn't complete that, it is incumbent upon you to check that work to make sure it's completed. And I would say the same goes for the daily assignments. If those daily assignments are not being completed, it's not on us as Access Center staff to continuously check in on that. The caregiver needs to talk to the teacher and figure out is it too much work? Is it that the child is not engaged? They need to troubleshoot that together. I think Sal asked if we're going to be getting, is it possible to get extra Chromebook chargers? I will ask about that, Sal. So we can see if we can work with the school districts to do that. Desk exercises, Aisha said, yes. Some folks, let's go back up. Is it our responsibility to check their work? We had many kids last week submitting blank work or having missing work. No. You can help them, you can guide them into the room where they do the assignment, but it is not your responsibility to check their work. They need to figure that out. You can help them through it, but you are not responsible to check their work. Or they have reading and comprehension issues, so they are having trouble processing work. And I'm sure that goes for specifically for the itty bitties, because computers, right, with little ones. So that's another issue that needs to kind of be bumped up to the caregivers and to the school staff. And I think it's also important to work with your students around how to ask questions of the teachers so that they get to the answer that they need. So that's something that we can help with. So figuring out, okay, so what is the problem? Do you, is it hard for you to read? Is it hard for you to sit still? Do you not understand the question that your teacher is posing? And then how can you ask the teacher via open office hours or anything like that? How can we solve the problem? Anna said we have individual activities to do for them when they are done with school. And Lisa says, all of this sounds good, but those of us in the field are not finding this practical, and you are correct. It is, as we are beginning the access centers, we're starting to see some of the holes and some of the blind spots that we all have. So we're working through it. I think as we haven't been in access centers for a month yet. So as we're kind of working through it, we're working through the ebbs and flows of it all. So I completely understand that it's not practical, but we're working through it together. And I think that's the most important piece. Zainab said, I'm so appreciative of our OSTs at Myers. My question is on half days. Logistically, what does an access center look like? We're combining ideas, yes, and resources to occupy their time till 4 p.m. That is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So I know some folks, depending on whether they're in charter or SDP, they have half days. So that's where us as OST professionals, this is where we shine. So, you know, you have these 4 hours to really do our OST thing and put your spin on it. I can also say that we've been letting you all kind of get your sea legs with all of this, but we are working with some program partners, just like we did over the summer, to provide some of that grab and go content. So ASAP is still rocking and rolling. I can send you all that information as well. So they have tons of lesson plans. The Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative is coming out with a mobile app that you can use that has really cool activities based on the day around physical activity it's not a group situation. They can do either at their desks or in a gym, but by themselves. So this is all content that will come out very soon. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys about 2 minutes to share any resources that you have, websites, YouTube videos, anything that you have to share. Yes, thank you, Sal. Game On Philly, their YouTube page. And I'm gonna unshare my screen really quickly and give you, give you the Google Drive link. We don't have that information in there yet, but I'm gonna put all of the information for Game On Philly and ASAP in that Google Drive. Or actually, there's another drive that I have. There's so many Google Drives. I have a Google Drive specifically for ASAP, so I'm gonna share that with you as well. Dana said teachers pay teachers. I use that a lot. a lot for program content. There are some free lesson plans on there. And I think the membership is not that expensive either. So very quickly, I'm giving you a link to our Google Drive for ASAP. So here are some, oh, I sent that just to Lisa, sorry. There we go. So there's the link to our ASAP Google Drive. Again, that has a lot of cool activities on chess, debate, drama, Scrabble, all of that stuff. And then there's another one. So this one is specific to Scrabble. We're also going to put all this information, iReady again. We're also going to put all this information on ost.phila.gov website, ost.phila.gov. So you'll be able, all of the resources from Hip Hop Fundamentals, ASAP, AIA Philadelphia, all of that is still on the website. So you can access that information as well. So we are nearing the end of our workshop. I want to make sure that everybody's able to get into the 2:30. So I'm going to put my email address down as well. So if you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to send me an email. So the classroom management workshop that we're going to go in now has tons of helpful information around, yes. I'll send everybody an email after this. The classroom management workshop will have a lot of helpful information on behavior modification and all of that stuff as, so, you know, you've gone through the discipline policy, you've gone through the fact that we are kind of thinking about behavior modification in a positive way. So now you'll get all the helpful tips around that. Dana, yes, you will receive a certificate. You don't need to give me your email addresses since all of you lovely folks registered. Thank you for registering. I'm just going to send you a confirmation email with all of the links that I just put in there. So thank you all. I'll see you in about 15 minutes. I'm going to try to like gulp down some water, everybody water for the next 15 minutes. And I'll see you all at 2:30.